As you were able to see in the last few videos, there's a ton of parallels that can be drawn for planning your type systems regardless of the project type and platform. However, each one also had some of its own requirements. That's true for any kind of design work. The better you know the platform and its limitations and best practices, the better you will be at what you do. Spend time analyzing different apps and all of their aspects, not just typography. Where is an icon used and not text? Why? How do people interact with it? How would you do it if you do it differently, and why? In this video, we will go over some of the other project types and devices, knowing that there is a lot less chance that you might be working on some of them. Those types of projects are just not as represented and common as the ones we spend more time on. But still, I don't want you to feel afraid if you'll ever have to tackle one of these. If any kind of new project need appears and you've never worked on a project like that before, don't worry, spend some time analyzing the device or platform. Learn as much as you can in the shortest amount of time. If possible, test the device yourself. Open up other apps on it, look for patterns and limitations, write them down. Familiarize yourself with it. As you'll go along, you will continuously test your designs anyway, so it doesn't matter if something like a mistake happens. That's fully expected for your first time working on a new type of project. But a lot of the processes are transferable within UI work. Some of these might be large displays you can see in stores, museums, campuses, and so on. They are much larger, so font sizes you're using will be a bit bigger than usual too. They might be used under heavy sunlight, so more contrast might be needed. Parts could be hidden by hands or fingers, so ensure that nothing important gets stuck to the edges of the screen. If you're designing for an Apple Watch, look at the type systems Apple uses for it. Take screenshots of other Apple Watch apps and analyze them. What sizes do they use? The screen is much smaller and limited than a mobile phone screen. There's less interactivity. There is less space for distractions. Descriptions, if needed, can be too long or they won't fit. On the other hand, if you're designing for a tablet device like an iPad, the sizes you used for your mobile iOS app could be too small. In most cases, you can use the same type system for both the iOS or iPadOS app and mobile app, but it's worth to test it on a real device. Does it feel right? Is something too large, too small? Adjust it and test again. You might also be tasked with designing for television. Input is a lot different there. It's most often done through a remote or voice commands. Plan around that. Another major difference is how close someone is to the TV screen. Most often people are quite far away, so larger sizes are a must, as small text won't be possible to read. Draft something, test it on a couple of screen sizes, place yourself closer and further away from the screen and see what works and what doesn't. One other project that comes to mind are AR and VR apps. Text might be appearing in a 3D space. What kind of limitations does that bring? How to ensure that there's enough contrast from the background? Is it interactive? Is it not? How would you suggest it to the user? Think about the specifics of the task in front of you and adjust your process and decisions accordingly. Basically, what I'd love for you to do and take out of this lesson the most is the process is always the same. You need to identify the most likely needs, the limitations, and the context the users will be in. You will then define your type system draft and you need to test it in context. See what works and what doesn't. Identify why. Adjust upon it as needed. Once you've designed 10-ish screens, you can start to feel more confident that the type system you're using will work for this type of project. And as always, let your project system evolve with time. A new feature or a new update to an existing screen might bring a need for a new style to be added. That's fine. But if you can use an existing style instead, it's best to do that instead of adding more. I hope this lesson makes you confident in any kind of future UI design project you might be tasked with.